This is the worst property deal I have ever done. Hi everybody, it's Dan Eaton here, a property investor and developer from the Gloucestershire area. And we're outside one of my projects which we're going to have a look at. And I can honestly tell you, this is the worst property project I have ever done. So let's go and have a look around. But before we do, if you want to follow more of this, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. So originally, this was a building which was previously a doctor's surgery, then it was carved up into 8 individual flats. And the way it was carved up was pretty ropey, really. You know, for instance, there was a 1-bedroom flat which was on 3 stories around a central staircase, that kind of carving up. Now, we purchased this building originally on an option subject to planning. And our initial intention was to knock this building down and build 7 houses on this plot. As you can see, it's quite a big plot. So we went in with a pre-application to the council and they said, yes, that all sounds fine. And as soon as we got into full planning, that's when all the problems started appearing, of which I'll give you a little bit more of an indication a little bit later on. We built a new extension on the back and then we've reconfigured the internals to get 10 flats out of this project. So let's go and have a look what they look like. Now, most of this is complete. There's a few things we're just finishing off. There's some new plumbing and going into some of the flats as well, but we can have a look at some of the completed ones and we'll start at the top and work our way down. Now this, believe it or not, is a completely new staircase because although the original staircase would have been in this position, during that carve up I talked about earlier on, a lot of the original features were taken out of this building. So we've tried to put in as much as we could, including these huge high ceilings around this central staircase. Now this development is a mixture of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom flats because again, that is what the market needs around here. So let's have a look at this one. Now you'll see in this particular one, there are some marks on the carpets because this was the show flats that we were using. So this flat is actually already sold. So this is a 2-bedroom apartment, kitchen, living, dining space. And again, because it's a 2-bedroom, we've got a nice big fridge freezer in here. Neff appliances. It's a really nice specification for this type of market. So the type of people buying these properties are probably going to be maybe downsizers. So we put in a lot of storage, a lot of spaces, utility space there for washing machines, etc. Generous sized bedrooms. I mean, this is the master bedroom. As you can see, it's absolutely huge. Lovely fixtures and fittings in the bathrooms. And again, very similar specification to some of the other videos you may have seen. Now, that's very important when you're thinking about doing these types of strategies, to have the specification that you can roll out across multiple sites. We know it, we know how it works, we can cost it. Again, keeping everything simple and certain. So let's have a look at this, which is a 1-bedroom apartment. And again, you'll see the specification of these types of units. We'll start in the kitchen, living, dining space. So again, nice open plan living. This particular one is staged, so you get an idea of how you'd fit everything in. Now that's important when you are selling properties because sometimes people can't envisage the size of a space. So if this had no furniture in, some people might walk in and go, oh, I don't know if you can get a sofa in there, or where would you get your dining table? Well, as you can see, we've got a 3-seater sofa here, we've got a chair here and a dining table. So it's easy to see how this space could be used. Very, very important when you're selling your units and worth the spend. Into the bedroom again, generously sized bedroom, showing people how they can use this sort of space, desk, probably have wardrobes here, and then you've got your bed as well. So people often talk about the 1-bedroom apartments and why people want 1-bedroom apartments. Surely a 2 would be more useful. The reality is the person who's going to live in here may be moving out of their house, you know, with their parents, their childhood home, so they had their bedroom, that's all they had. Perhaps they've been living in maybe student accommodation or a HMO, like a shared house or something like that, so again, they've only had a bedroom. So this is like the stepping stone from either moving from your childhood bedroom with your parents or your HMO or your student accommodation into your own property. Now these are for sale, so this is probably an ideal first-time buyer's property, or more likely an investor's property. So an investor would want to buy this to then rent it to that person who's moving out of home, maybe moving out of a HMO, student accommodation, that type of person. So in this particular flat, here's an example of things that look okay on the drawings, but then when you build them, you think, why did we do that? And I'm going to draw your attention to this lovely little area that we have here, which could be used for a desk, studying, or maybe a little kids' play area, something like that. You could easily use it for that. Unfortunately, the way we've designed it is that there's this tiny little gap to get into it. Whereas we could have probably done something a little bit different there to make better use of that space. We had a similar issue with this space as well. We had to build this cupboard here because it had to fit between the two dormers and the external roof of the new build. A space that you could make a lot more of, but we haven't been able to. We did manage to get quite a large kitchen though in this space. Lots of light coming in from the skylights, from the side lights, so a really nice use of the space eventually. But some of the things that we could have done a little bit differently, but it was too late by the time we identified these problems. We also seem to have what has got to be the world's smallest bathroom mirror, which I'm sure will light up at some point. Ah, there you go. We'll work on that. Sometimes when you're on site and you can see these things, you can pick them up early enough, you can actually make advantage of them. Now on the original architect's drawings for this property, there was a door here going into a communal storeroom cupboard. We didn't specify a communal storeroom cupboard. I'm not sure what you'd use a communal storeroom cupboard for. There's plenty downstairs. So this space, well, what can we use this space for? So what we decided to do was make it part of this apartment. What that means is this 1-bedroom apartment is now effectively maybe a 1.5-bedroom apartment. Now this is not a big room. I'm not saying this is going to be a bedroom, but it could be a nice little study, could be a snug. So we managed to create this space by utilizing that communal storeroom cupboard that was drawn in the staircase there. This is the new build aspect of the property. There's loads of outhouses and, like I say, a big steel fire escape. We've got rid of all that, we took it all down and we built this lovely, I suppose, contemporary addition to the original building. Now originally we had a flat roof design 1 story higher, so we were going to get another flat into this scheme, but the planning officials didn't like the flat roof aspect of the scheme, so they wanted us to put a pitched roof on. Now when we put a pitched roof on, it was too much and it cast too much shadow into the garden of our neighbours. So quite rightly we had to then drop that down. And the way we had to drop that down to meet the needs of the planners and the needs of our neighbours was we ended up with a dual pitched roof here. Created some additional cost and some additional challenges with how that's built and particularly how you drain it. So when the water comes down that middle pitch, how do we get the water to the back of the property and down into the drains? Couple of weeks time, this project will absolutely be finished and be fully ready and fully on the market for sale. So we've sold 1 of the properties at the moment. We've got another 9 sales to go. Out here we can see we've got lovely block paving going in for the parking areas. We're gonna have lovely plants going in these flower beds, nice bollard lights around as well. So it creates a really nice atmosphere as you drive up and see what is actually a very nice building. During this process, and I'll talk about later on about the ins and outs of how we actually ended up with this project and how we ended up going through planning permission for it. One of the comments from the local community about this was they were against the scheme. They didn't like the fact that we were doing the scheme. A little bit later down in a handwritten letter said, but well done for the builders for bringing this property back to life. So kind of had the feeling that this person was doing their community thing with their neighbours, trying to object to things, but actually really wanted this property bringing back to its former glory, which I think you can agree we have achieved. So if you want to do these types of property projects for yourselves to change your life by becoming financially free in one deal, check out the description below where I have put a free report to help you get started on your property journey. This is the worst property deal I've ever done. We originally bought this building on an option subject to planning. Now this is going back when I first started out in property. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have a team around me to help me with this. I didn't have a mentor. And originally we thought what we'll do is we'll to knock this building down and build 7 or 8 houses on its plot. So we got the architects involved. They drew up a wonderful scheme, but it was never ever going to be able to be built. We submitted all this without planning permission to the council, and the council said, yes, we think you can knock this building down, but you can't build that many houses on it because we want all our houses to line up. If you've seen this site from outside, you'll know that the only way you see a building line, i.e. all the buildings line up on the street, is from space. But yet they wanted them all to line up. So we couldn't build the 7 houses that we wanted to. We had to move all the houses back on the plot, and therefore we could probably only build 2 or 3. So that didn't make financial sense. So then what we did is we said, okay, what we will do is we will knock the building down and we will build a block of flats in its place. And we should be able to get about 14 flats. But if we're going to knock it down and build 14 flats, we would have affordable housing contributions of roughly 30%, which again meant the scheme didn't economically work. So we said to the council, okay, what we'll do is we'll knock the building down and we'll build a block of 9 apartments. And the council then turned around to us and said, well, hang on a minute. If you're going to knock it down and only build 9 and we're not going to get any affordable housing contributions from you, we are now going to declare it a locally listed heritage asset, which means you can't knock it down. Back to the drawing board again. We said, okay, if we can't knock it down, what we will do is we'll knock down all of the horrible extensions that had been built over the years on the back of the property. We'll knock it all down and we'll build a clean, new extension with a number of flats in there. They said, okay, we can do that. However, the extension on the back, we don't like flat roofs. So we had to then put a pitch roof on. We had to lower it, which meant in total, we only ended up with 10 flats in this scheme. So why is this my worst ever property deal? Because there was already 7 flats in this property. We bought 7 flats. We spent 3 years going through planning permission and probably 50 or 60,000 pounds in fees. And at the end of it, we've got 10 flats. So we've built 3 new ones. Capital appreciation and the market going up is the only reason this property has any profit in it. We agreed to pay £865,000 for this property. In hindsight, we overpaid. At the time, we paid a £10,000 option fee to the owners, and we then spent roughly £60,000 getting this through the various stages of planning. There was 99 objections on the council website for us building this particular scheme. It took us roughly 3 years to get through the planning permission cycle. Early 2022, we finally got our hands on this building and we're able to start the demolition, start the strip out, start putting it all back together. We're now in April 2023. It's here, as you can see, it's pretty much finished. It's on the market. We've sold 1, we've got 9 more to go. And as soon as the landscape and everything else finished outside, we'll be able to get all of the viewings booked in so people can come and actually view these properties. It cost us roughly £1 million to convert / extend this property. The total GDV is forecast to be about 2.4 million. So 2.4 million today minus our £1 million to convert it, that takes us down to 1.4 million. Roughly it was 865,000 to buy plus all the fees, stamp duty, legals, etc. So it was roughly £900,000 all in to buy this building. Then we take on the planning fees of £60,000 as well, which means we've roughly got £450,000 profit in this deal. Now £450,000 profit might sound like a great amount of money. But when I take that between myself, my business partners and my investors, and the time it has taken to realize that profit, I would have been better off working for minimum wage as a checkout chick in Asda. So what's my biggest learnings from it? The first one, don't use a little bit of knowledge. It's dangerous. Get a lot of knowledge. Get a team around you, get a mentor to help you with these sorts of things. Second thing, planning is an absolute flipping nightmare. End of, all right? Try and stay away from it if you can. This is the reason I now only do commercial conversions. I only use permitted development. I only buy sites that have already got planning. I've been through this, I've been burnt, I've got the scars. Learn from my mistakes, don't go through planning. And thirdly, property is like a bad haircut. Okay, it will grow out eventually, but you have to be in it to have that possibility of winning. I don't want to scare people with this one because I can see that some people out there would go, oh my gosh, I can't possibly do this property development stuff. It's terrible. The reality is it's taken such a long time for this deal to realize. But in the meantime, we've been doing lots and lots of other property projects. Prime example, we've done a couple of deals which netted us roughly £1 million in the time that this one hasn't. We've also done projects where we've got over 100 tenants keeping hold of those properties, so we're getting about 40-odd thousand pounds in rental income every single month. One of our other projects, our flagship project, I'd class that at the moment, that will probably bring in net maybe £100,000 a year as well. So don't let this one project worry you, don't let it put you off, but I'm giving you the reality. Sometimes things don't quite go to plan, just know how to deal with it. And the key to that, as always, is making sure that you have got the right education, the right team around you, and that you take action. That's the only way you're going to change your life. So if you want to learn how to do these types of projects for yourselves and not make some of the mistakes that I've made on this particular project, make sure you check out the description where I've put a link to a free report to help you get started on your property journey. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and click that bell notification so you never miss any videos on the channel. And check out this video here, which is another one of my projects. I've been Dan Eaton, great to see you all. Make sure you hit that bell notification.